Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mesoma and I'm a 14 medical student in Nigeria. So in this video, I'll be reviewing the textbooks I used during my pre-clinicals, reviewing them based on 9 factors. These factors include based on price. Some textbooks are more expensive than the other. Detailed information. What I mean by detailed information is that some textbooks give more information, relevant information. Third one is exam friendly. Some textbooks are good for use during exam. Next is complexity. Some textbooks are more complex in terms of grammar. Some textbooks use simple English. Next is excessive information. Some textbooks give a lot of information that is not actually necessary. Next is best for beginners. Some textbooks are best for beginners. And what I mean by beginners are people that are just starting pre-clinical. Next one is diagram. Some textbooks have well detailed diagram while some others don't have well detailed diagram. Next is time saving. Some textbooks will waste your time. Next is easy to understand. Some textbooks are quite easy to understand while some you have to read them again and again to be able to understand. So I'm going to review my textbooks based on these 9 factors that I've listed, and then we will choose the one that is going to work best for you. The disclaimer for this video is that this review is solely based on my personal experience. My reviews might not be same as someone else's review, which is okay. Starting with gross anatomy. In gross anatomy, I use 3 textbooks. I use Kitmo, Cheresia, and Last. And these 3 textbooks, I didn't use them at the same time. I used one at a particular point in time and the other for another topic and the rest of them. So the first one I'll be talking about is Kitmo. Kitmo is the most expensive in the 3 textbooks I just listed. Kitmo is highly detailed. It's not exam friendly. The grammar used in Kitmo is a little bit complex. Kitmo has a lot of irrelevant information. Kitmo is best for beginners. As in, when I started anatomy, Kitmo was the first anatomy textbook I used. Kitmo has good diagram. Kitmo is time wasting. Kitmo wastes a lot of time because of too much information. Kitmo is quite easy to understand. The next is Cheresia. Cheresia is cheaper. It's cheaper than Kitmo. It has detailed information but not as Kitmo. Cheresia is very exam friendly. During my exams, I had to ditch other textbooks and focus on Cheresia. Cheresia is very simple. Cheresia has summarized information. It doesn't have so much irrelevant information like Kitmo. Cheresia is definitely not the best for beginners. When I opened Cheresia, when I started anatomy, I hated the test because I didn't understand anything that was going on. So it's definitely not the best textbook for beginners of anatomy or pre-clinicals. Cheresia has detailed diagrams, like well detailed diagrams. Most of the times I prefer using diagrams in Cheresia than the diagrams in my atlas. During my exams, the diagrams I used were the diagrams I got from Cheresia. Is time saving. Cheresia doesn't waste your time, it just goes straight to the point. Cheresia is easy to understand. When you have gone a little bit far into anatomy, Cheresia becomes very easy to understand. Third textbook I used was Last. I used Last for 2 months before I abandoned it. Last was my worst anatomy textbook. Last is the cheapest among the 3. Last doesn't have detailed information. It's exam friendly because it's just a small textbook. Last is very complex. The Last is too summarized. They summarize a lot of information in Last. Last is the worst textbook for beginners. Last has very poor diagrams. Last is going to save your time. When I used Last, it was because I wanted to save time. So Last is actually very time saving. Last is not easy to understand. Your atlas needs to be in front of you as you are reading Last. If not, you are going to be lost in the textbook. The next course is embryology. In embryology, I used 2 major textbooks. I used Kitmo and Sadler. So Kitmo is more expensive than Sadler. It's highly detailed, not exam friendly. During my exams, I didn't use Kitmo embryology. It's simple. It has excess information. Kitmo is good for beginners. Kitmo has well detailed diagrams. Kitmo is the best textbook for embryology diagrams. I read from Sadler, I go to Kitmo too. look at the diagrams. Kitmo is time wasting. Kitmo is easy to understand. Sadler is cheaper than Kitmo. It's highly detailed. I use Sadler almost throughout my preclinical years. It's exam friendly. During my exams, combination with some other PDFs, I use Sadler. Sadler is also simple. Sadler has summarized information. It doesn't have unnecessary or irrelevant information. Sadler is best for beginners. Sadler has good diagrams, but compared to Kitmo has better diagrams. Sadler is time saving. Sadler is easy to understand. Next course is histology. For histology, I used two textbooks. I used Indevicin and also John Korea. Indevicin is more expensive than John Korea, and Indevicin is not detailed. It's exam friendly. It's very simple. I think in all anatomy textbooks, Indevicin has the simplest grammar. Indevicin is too summarized. It summarizes the textbook to the extent that the relevant information that you need, the actual things that you need, are not in the textbook. It's not good for beginners, people that are just starting histology. The next is poor micrographs. It has very poor micrographs. But the first time I used Indevicin, I was just tired because it didn't have information. It also didn't have good micrographs. So many things that were taught in class, you won't find it in Indevicin. Thing is easy to understand. It's summarized to the extent that it's very easy. You feel that histology is a walkover, which is actually not. John Korea is cheaper, it's well detailed, it's exam friendly. During my exams, I used John Korea. John Korea has simple grammar, also has summarized information. But when you compare it to Indevicin is too summarized. John Korea is good for beginners of histology. During my pre-clinicals, I started with John Korea. John Korea has detailed micrographs. It's time saving compared to Indevicin will save your time more than John Korea. Is easy to understand. The next course I'll be going into is biochemistry. I use majorly two textbooks. I use Vasudevan and Essential Biochemistry. So I'll start with Vasudevan. Vasudevan is more expensive than Essentials because Vasudevan has hard copy, but Essentials, I don't think it has a hard copy. Vasudevan has well detailed information. Vasudevan is not exam friendly. During my exams, I abandoned Vasudevan totally. Vasudevan uses complex grammar. We try to understand Vasudevan, but because of the grammar they're using, we just can't understand. Vasudevan has excess information, irrelevant information. Vasudevan is not the best textbook for beginners. Starting off pre-clinicals, one of the mistakes I made was that I started biochemistry with Vasudevan. If I should go back in time, I would definitely start biochemistry with Essentials. There's really not much diagrams when it comes to biochemistry. But when it comes to pathways, Vasudevan has good diagrams. Vasudevan is time wasting. Vasudevan is not easy to understand. Essentials is cheaper. Essential has detailed information. It's exam friendly. Essential has simple grammar. Like Essential has summarized information, but it's not too summarized to the extent that the important things are not there. Essentials is best for beginners. Essentials has good diagrams of the pathway. Essential is time saving. It's easy to understand. The last course I'm going to talk about is physiology. So the two textbooks I used mainly for human physiology were Sembuligan and Gaitin. I'll start with Sembuligan. Sembuligan is cheaper than Gaitin. It's not detailed. Sembuligan is exam friendly. During my exams, I left Gaitin and started using Sembuligan because Sembuligan is very exam friendly. It's very simple to understand Sembuligan. Sembuligan is summarized. Even while I was using Sembuligan for my exams, I was still going back to Gaitin to get some information to add to what Sembuligan was giving. Sembuligan is good for beginners. It has detailed diagrams. It's time saving. Sembuligan is easy to understand. Next is Gaitin. Gaitin is more expensive. Gaitin is well detailed. Gaitin is not exam friendly. Gaitin has simple grammar. Gaitin has excess information. Gaitin is the best textbook for beginners because Gaitin will actually help you to understand human physiology. Gaitin has good diagrams. Getting is time wasting. Getting is easy to understand. And we finally come to the end of this video. You can compare and contrast and choose the textbook that fits you better. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.